Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today from DC Collectibles, we are featuring the Batman Arkham Asylum 2-pack that has Batman and Bane. Alright, so this is a much older set. This came out years ago. The reason why we're looking at it now is because with the recent influx of McFarlane Arkham-related action figures in their DC Multiverse line, I was kind of jonesing a Bane action figure. I'm not sure if McFarlane has officially announced a Bane figure yet in the Arkham line, but I knew that they made one years ago, and I remember that it was by DC Collectibles. There was actually two versions of Bane. There's a version here which we're looking at. This came in the 2-pack, and then there was a solo figure. Same costume design, but slightly different figure. That was released, I believe, in, I want to say, Arkham Asylum Series 2. Now, even though that figure shares the same costume, it's actually, I think, a different mold altogether. Like, this action figure here actually has articulated legs, whereas the solo release in Series 2, the legs were kind of stationary. You couldn't pose them. The character was kind of like hunched over. And instead of having the red Venom tubes, the solo release had the green Venom tubes, and it even had a different face, where this one's kind of calm. The solo release of the figure kind of had like a snarling expression. This Batman figure on our left is one that was released multiple times over. And if you go into my back catalog of videos, I actually do review this figure. But yeah, I'm excited to check this out. I don't know if McFarlane has Bane on the docket for the Multiverse series, but if I'm a betting man, I'm sure they do. McFarlane, so far, I think they've produced 2 Bane figures. There was the Last Night on Earth Build-A-Figure Bane, which also had the Scarecrow that he threw on his back. And then there was also the, which was the other Bane? There was an Arkham Bane, actually. It was the Mega figure. There was a Mega figure of Bane. I think that was for Arkham. I can't remember. Or it might have just been a straight up, this plain old standard DC Universe Bane. But if you remember, not too long ago, I think it was on the heels of the Man-Bat and Clayface figure, they released the Mega Fig of Bane. And I'll review that in the future. But for now, we're going to focus on this 2-pack. It looks great. This is the DC Collectibles style of packaging, so it's a lot of white. It's very elegantly designed. On the side of the box, wonderful photograph of Batman and Bane. And then on the back, it says here, reenact the epic battle between the Bat and Bane with this special 2-pack collection of the Dark Knight and the Venom-fueled villain based on their appearance in the critically acclaimed video game Batman Arkham Asylum. There were some other 2-packs available. There was Mr. Hammer and Harley Quinn. And then there was Sickle and the Penguin. And McFarlane recently gave us their take on the Arkham Penguin, and I reviewed that figure. If I could find any of these 2-packs for a decent price, I wouldn't mind picking them up. They look cool. And I'm really hoping McFarlane tackles this version of Harley Quinn. Like, this figure here looks great. I've seen it in person, and I think I might actually have it in my collection. But the face sculpt is kind of, it's very, I don't know, it's not very appealing. She kind of has this, like, blank look on her face. Alright, so let's get started and take out this 2-pack. This 2-pack kind of goes for a lot on the secondary market. I think I've seen it go anywhere between, I think like $120 to like $160. I got lucky. I found this reasonably priced for like $90, which sounds like a lot, I know, but considering this thing's been out of print for years and it's kind of hard to come across, I really wanted to pull the trigger on this. And I'm trying to get it open. Let's see if I can get this open. And what's cool too is they even list the sculptors. The Bane is sculpted by Phil Ramirez, and the Batman sculpted by Dave Cortez. Alright, just bear with me. This box is gigantic, and I'm trying to get all the tape off. It's not... Alright, there we go. Man, this thing does not want to come out. Oh, this is friggin'... Alright, so first impressions of the figures while they're still in the tray. They look amazing. This guy in particular looks fantastic. So this is a much older action figure set. I'm not sure how delicate these figures are, so I'm not going to get too crazy with them in terms of posing. Even though I love the DC Collectibles and DC Direct action figures, I think the quality control could be very hit or miss. So I am going to take this out, but I'm not going to get, you know, super crazy with the posing. The Batman for now we'll leave in the box just because I have this figure loose. As I mentioned at the start of the video, this action figure is one that they released multiple times over. So, you know, it's gonna be a while, or it would take a little bit long just to try to thread the cape out and remove the figure, especially since I have this loose one on hand. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a look at the Batman figure real quick, and then afterwards we'll jump to Bane. So let's take a look at Batman first. Alright, so here's the Batman from DC Collectibles. It represents Batman as seen in the video game Arkham Asylum. Even though this is a much older action figure, let's see if there's a date on here. No, there isn't. Even though this is a much older action figure, the sculpting I think is still really well done. Let's get him into focus. The articulation isn't the greatest. It's very dated. As you can see, it doesn't feature all the bells and whistles of like a modern action figure. The height of this figure is 7 1/4 with the horns. For a size comparison, here is the McFarlane designed Batman. So you can see there is a height difference. Keep in mind the older McFarlane figures are a lot larger than the newer ones. Here is a Diamond Select Alfred figure from the Gotham series, and also slightly larger. So this is a great figure. The articulation's very standard. You know, head rotates, the arms go up, they go out slightly, they collide with the cape, unfortunately. The elbows bend. There is no bicep swivel or elbow swivel, so it's kind of limited in its posing. There is no wrist articulation. There is no waist articulation. There is no ab crunch. There is no chest swivel. The legs go up, but it's super tight, so I'm not going to mess around with that. And then the knees bend. I've said this before, especially in, you know, with a lot of these older DC Direct figures. They're not necessarily meant to be played with or posed. They're more like display pieces. You know, just think of them as like miniature statues that just happen to have some articulation on them. They're beautiful to look at, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for a figure to pose or something for action figure photography, some of these older DC Direct, DC Collectible action figures, you know, they're not the greatest for that. But it's a great figure nonetheless. The craftsmanship is really well done, as is the paint application. As you can see, he likes to be photographed. It's a very photogenic figure. The shade of gray contrasted with the shade of black works really well. The utility belt's well detailed, as you can see. Some subtle wrinkles and folds throughout the costume. But it's kind of missing that like micro texturing that we see nowadays in a lot of modern action figures, especially like in the McFarlane line. So yeah, very fair Batman figure. if you could find this style of figure loose or even new for a decent price, I'd say pull the trigger on it. It's not in the same league as a McFarlane figure, but I think it's a really, really well done display piece. It'll look great on your shelf. Excellent action figure. Right. So this is what we're here for. We're going to take a look at the big chunky boy here. We're going to take out Bane. Now this is a heavy figure. This thing weighs a lot. It feels like a brick. Alright, so do I cut the ties or do I untie them? Yeah, I might have to cut the ties. They're kind of twisted a little too much. Alright, just bear with me. I think we just have one more tie left. It's understandable why they tie this guy down, because like I said, this guy is really hefty. It weighs a lot, and if he was loosely packaged, he would just like rock around inside of the packaging. This guy is a beast. Alright, so, whoa, this guy is really heavy. I am not joking. And here is his backpack. God, this guy weighs a lot. Yeah, this guy is, when I say this guy weighs as much as a brick, I'm not joking. This guy feels like a cinder block. And it's a beautiful figure. Just look at that. This guy looks amazing on camera. Now, it gets me really excited because, keep in mind, this figure is a couple of years old. And just imagine what, McFarlane would be able to do with this character. It's ginormous. For a size comparison, here he is next to the McFarlane designed Batman. And you can see it completely dwarfs the figure. This guy is gigantic. This guy he weighs more than he weighs more than most of the McFarlane Megafigs, in my opinion. I'm not sure if he's larger height-wise than, like, for example, Swamp Thing, but he's definitely a lot heavier. This is a beast. But, yeah, look at the size difference. So, something like this, if you could find this for a reasonable price, he would look right at home with McFarlane figures, just because the sheer mass of it, and also the paint detail. This figure is detailed very much like the older style, like Spawn figures and McFarlane figures. Kind of has that sloppier paint job. And I can't stress it enough. I keep on saying it's a beast. This guy really is gigantic. It weighs a lot. Let's take a look up close at the sculpting. It almost resembles the Juggernaut, especially with the collar around his shoulders. And when I say the Juggernaut, kind of more so the live action version. Even with the orange color scheme, the orange and the brown, it really screams Juggernaut. It's a beast. I love it's such a vascular looking character also, with all the musculature and the veins. Incredible detail on the gauntlet. There's like blood splatter on his pants and also on his feet. He has cool looking like hazard restraints on his ankles. He has the venom hoses attached to his backpack that attach to his head and arms. And this thing, it doesn't want to plug in all the way. And honestly, I'm scared to plug it in just because this tab here is made of that kind of like brittle plastic. So I don't want to force it into the socket there. It's really cool. Look at that design. I love the design of the backpack. It looks like something you'd see out of like the video game BioShock. It has a beautiful shade of silver with like an ink wash. It almost kind of gives it like that oily metal look. And my arms are tired holding this. I'm not joking. This guy is seriously heavy. If I had to guess, I would say this weighs at least maybe 2.5 to 3 pounds. This guy, it's hefty. It feels like a dumbbell. The detailing on his back is wonderful as well. He kind of has like the cybernetics in his spine. Yeah, wonderful figure. Weighs a lot. Now, I said I wouldn't get too crazy with articulation, but just to give an idea of what's posable. The head can rotate a little. The arms, all right, they feel a little stuck. I don't want to move them too much. But as you can see, the arms are articulated there. It looks like there's a bicep cut. A single pinned elbow. And again, I don't want to get too crazy with this. Swivels at the waist. And just because of the sheer weight of it, it kind of wants to like this spin on its own. Articulated legs. Articulated knees. Only one pin. The wrists appear to be articulated as well. But yeah, very sizable figure. This guy is awesome. Now, I'm really hoping McFarlane does give us this figure, because for me, I think it'd be great, because this guy here, it feels really heavy. It's kind of like on par with a Diamond Select larger figure. For example, if you ever had any of the Diamond Marvel Select figures of like the Abomination or the Thing or the Hulk, those things are incredibly heavy and incredibly like this giant in size. This figure is like along those lines. So if you ever handled like the Diamond Marvel Select Abomination figure, that'll give you an idea of this like figure's weight. You know, it kind of feels hefty like that. But yeah, beautiful figure overall. Really, really, for me, it's worth it. I know I kind of paid a pretty penny for it, but this is a figure I've been wanting for a long time, and you know, I can't wait if McFarlane gives us one in the near future. So I'm like, I'll get this guy now. It's beautiful. It's a really standout looking piece. Some of the stuff, it's like I said, some of the stuff, just because of its age and the quality control with some of the DC stuff, I don't want to get too nuts with this, you know. Would I recommend displaying this? Maybe not, unless you had like a solid base for it, because even though it has socketed feet, I don't think an action figure stand would hold this figure. I think the best resort to displaying this guy is getting one of those miniature doll stands that has that like ring, and then you put the ring around its waist, because I don't think a normal stand would hold this guy up. Or if you want, you can have him displayed towards the back of your shelf or against the wall and have him lean back, because there's a lot of weight and mass behind this. So yeah, I think it's a great 2-pack. If you could find it for a reasonable price, pull the trigger. You know, you get a very decent Batman, but the Bane is the real star of the show. The solo figure is something you shouldn't sneeze at either. Even though it's more limited in its posability, it's still a pretty big looking dude, and it does have the green tubes, which I do prefer over these red ones, and it has the much more angrier face. Alright, so let's wrap this one up. Yeah, so, you know, this is an older figure. You know, if you want to check out like a more like full review on like the articulation, chances are you should be able to find, I think, more reviews on YouTube. I'm sure someone, you know, is very thorough and runs this figure through all its paces. So let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.